Good morning, I'm Greg Hahn, and I'm here to talk to you about some fantastic products produced by Robart Manufacturing. I've been in competition now for about 6 years, and believe me, I've used practically everything that's on the market today, and dependability to me is the name of the game. And with Robart Manufacturing, all of their products are the most dependable things I've ever found. From their landing gear to the aileron hinges to the gear door hinges, Robart puts out the top quality pieces of equipment that I need for my aircraft. Especially their landing gear, which I've used so many times and had such good luck with. They're very dependable, they work. Steel construction, oversized aluminum cylinders, and now with their new 4, 5, and 6-inch tire line, it completes the landing gear package just fantastically. For all of your needs, from your hinging to your landing gear, I would recommend Robart. Use it, you'll be happy. Thank you.
For the best in accessories, give us a call at 630-584-7616 or visit our website at www.robart.com. Robart Manufacturing.
The next minute and a half will be our tribute. That would be prop wash videos and myself and all the sponsors, JR, Airtronics, Futaba, it doesn't make any difference who they are, Pacer, Zap, Model Airplane News, ProMark, all of us. Every sponsor, every hobbyist. It's our tribute to Charlie Chambers, who passed away earlier this year. Werner is showing us his Top Gun winning flight from, I think, 1998 with the Don Smith Black Widow, powered by a pair of Weber 120s. This guy was an incredible modeler, that's all I can tell you, and a great guy. His craftsmanship was probably up there with the best in the world, and that's why we now have a Charlie Chambers Craftsmanship Award from Model Airplane News. He is a person that was loved and respected by all. He had he didn't have any enemies. I mean, all the people who came into contact with this guy had good fortune. I mean, he was just a great all-around guy. And he flew this Black Widow, as you can see. He flew it very, very realistically. I mean, this is a real fast, heavy twin-engine fighter. I mean, this guy flew it like if it was a trainer. He's going to be missed. Great flight, Charlie. So long, buddy. Your 6 is cleared.
Hi, I'm Mitch Weiss from Orlando, Florida. I'm here down at the Top Gun 2000 this year, flying in a BVM MiG-15 done up in a Hungarian Air Force camouflage paint scheme. Power for this airplane is a AMT Mercury, puts out about 17 pounds of thrust, burns Jet A fuel. I use Bob Violet retracts, wheels and brakes, and JR radio. We're sitting here waiting to get ready to fly the third round on Sunday morning.
How are you doing in the contest?
Well, I'm somewhere around the middle, I think. I'm not embarrassing myself.
This is, or was, Mitch Weiss's first Top Gun. And he really took to the challenge. His BVM MiG was already a pretty good-looking airplane to start with, so he just added a lot more details, and he went out and practiced his buns off. He really did. He was calling everybody, what do I do about this, what do I do about that? He did everything he could to improve the appearance of this airplane to make it Top Gun worthy. And it really paid off. He certainly did not embarrass himself. He went on to get 12th place in expert with some excellent flight scores. Nice weathering job, the rivets, he did everything right. And I am sure that now that he's had a taste of competition at this level, he will be back next year and he'll do better. In fact, I guarantee it. By the way, coming up, we'll have Head Judge Bill Holland with more about static judging. Maybe some flight judging too, huh, Bill?
Okay, now we're at the other judging site for team scale. And same as we discussed earlier as far as the criteria, but let me introduce the team scale judges. First, we'll walk over and, the judges are actually evaluating one aircraft right now. The person On the immediate right here is Jim Parker, who's also a flight judge, but he's actually scribing for the team guys for static. To his right is Steve Harris, who is the judge evaluating outline and markings, outline for the aircraft on the 3 views. To his right is Michael Bacon, who is the color and markings judge. He's using the documentation to evaluate the placement of markings and also the color of the aircraft from the material the pilot provided. And center court, right there at 0, at the aircraft, is Lynn Bechtold, who is the craftsmanship judge, who his role is to evaluate just how well the aircraft is made by the builder of this aircraft. The team scale, there's an individual who builds the aircraft, and there's also a pilot who flies the aircraft, i.e. team scale. 2 other people that are very important to this operation that make this thing run very smooth. In the middle is my lovely wife, Sharon Holland. She is in charge of staging all of the static entries and making sure they're all here in time and ready to go with all their materials. Kind of keeps the guys in line and also keeps me on an even keel. And to her right is my assistant chief judge, Bill DeVerna, who's no stranger to this event or to other events in the scale arena. Bill is the assistant chief judge and basically is my right arm and handles all the things that I do and acts in my role whenever I'm not available, or to assist me when there's multiple things going on at one time.
I'm here with Mr. Jeff Foley from Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina. And Jeff, I know you're flying the BF-109 this year, and you've flown it for several years. Tell us a little bit about the airplane.
Okay, Werner, this is a BF-109, a Messerschmitt. It's a E model, a E7. It was flown out in the desert in March of 1941 by Oberlieutenant Muchiberg, who had a lot of kills in this airplane. He was a very famous, flamboyant German ace. The particular model that I've got here is a prototype for a kit that I'll be producing. It is 1/4.5 scale, weighs 25 pounds. It's powered by a Moki 1.8 engine. The finish on this model is a combination of different techniques that I've developed over the years. I've used K&B Super Epoxy on this airplane over a lightweight fiberglass finish. The fuselage is fiberglass, but the wing panels and tail surfaces have lightweight glass cloth on them. Many people ask about the weathering on this airplane, how I accomplished the dirt and the used appearance of it. It's really quite easy once you develop the techniques. I spray a real light gray wash over the entire airplane and wipe it softly with a rag that has thinner on it. And basically that works much like antiquing a piece of furniture. It produces the weathering effect and the streaking behind the rivets, and you always wipe in the direction of the airflow, which gives you that appearance that it's been used and flown and gathered some weathering along the way.
Okay, well, anything else you want to add on the airplane? Is it going to be available sometime in the near future as a kit?
I hope to have the kit ready this fall. It'll be the fall of 2000, and of course we'll have advertising in the magazines, and we'll also have a website once that's developed.
That's Foley Manufacturing, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Jeff, now let's talk about Jeff a little bit. How many Top Guns have you flown in?
I have flown actually in every one of them. This will be the 12th, I believe. I went with the one year they had it out in Phoenix, and the rest of the other events were held down here in Florida. I finished third numerous times. You've always kidded me about that, I believe. The last 2 years I've won designer scale with this particular airplane, so we're going for a three-peat this year. We'll see what happens.
Well, Jeff, best of luck with the three-peat.
Thank you, sir.
Jeff Foley, our dear friend, by the way, went on to win the designer class once again. So I guess that's 4 times, maybe, or 3 for sure. But you know what? Then he went on to even better things, more prestigious award, and we'll get to that later. As far as scoring goes, Jeff started with a static score of 96.667. That was the second highest static in designer. And then, Mr. Consistency, as we call him, he strung together 4 tremendous flight scores: 94, a 93, a 96.125, and a 97.25. And as you know, or may not know, of the 4 rounds, we throw out the low score, in this case a 93. So Jeff's average final flight score was 95.79. That's a tick below Terry Nitsch, by the way. And if you're watching the way this guy flies the airplane, you can see why. Anyway, Jeff Foley is one of the nicest guys you're going to come across. Check out his column in RC Report magazine, by the way, where I also have a column, as does Pat McCurry. Probably the most informative scale magazine anywhere, even though it's not a scale magazine. It's got more scale stuff in it than anything else we know of in the country. Take a look at Jeff's airplane up close. You'll see it again at the Masters. You'll see it again at the Nats. But you won't see it again at Top Gun because this was the 3rd time. But what an appropriate finish, huh? First in the designer class, and actually went on to win Top Gun. Mr. Top Gun, Jeff Foley. Dave Fogarty's airplane, one of Werner's Quickies, just a great-looking coupe, scratch-built, designer class entry, 8th place at the Nats this year. Look forward to having it at Top Gun next year. It did not fly at 2000. He staticked at 93.4. Something happened. I think he forgot something is what it was, like his transmitter antenna maybe, something like that. Anyway, whatever it was, it couldn't fly, but he'll be back next year, and it's a great-looking airplane. All scratch-built. No, it's not going to be a kit. Not yet, anyway. Maybe in a year or so, Dave says, you'll have some fiberglass fuselages, etc. And here is Corbin Miller's Corsair. Again, I think it's the 3rd year for this airplane. It's, by the way, I've gotten a few emails about this airplane. Why is it so clean? Why is it so immaculate? You know, well, Corbin Miller's a past Top Gun winner. He's not gonna paint a Corsair with, you know, gloss paint if it wasn't that way. The deal is, this real airplane that this was modeled after is a restoration, and it's hangared not too far from Corbin's house in Sarasota, Florida. So it's a highly modified Zeroli design at 1/5 scale. It's all wood with some fiberglass parts, 93-inch wingspan, 33 pounds, but it's a model of a restored fighter. That's why the glossy paint job. Corbin uses an Airtronic stylus radio, and the incredible sound this airplane makes comes from a unique Sato 3-cylinder 450 4-stroke, turning a master air screw 2210 prop. So he's got those, it's like 3 Sato 150s put together in a ring. Wildcat supplied the fuel, and our good friends at Robart supplied the complex landing gear. Corbin has been flying this airplane for many years now. He flies it realistically, and you can learn a lot by watching any of his flights. It's a great flying Corsair, and incredible sound. I mean, what can you say? It's got it all. And there's a slow flyby with full flap, but no gear down. I can't tell you why. And I believe this will be a setup for his landing. Looks like a stork, or a bird of prey, I should say, coming in for to get a fish or something. Look at that. Isn't that perfect? This is the BVM F-80, done up in Navy colors by the Top Gun team of David Valdez, the builder, and David Schulman, the pilot, and we call them simply the Davids. The Davids started with a 93.75 static score, and the Davids went on to take 5th in team scale with this beautiful Ram 750 powered Shooting Star. And by the way, this is the same aircraft that they entered last year, which was a first-time Top Gun appearance for them, with this airplane, but with a BVM ducted fan system. So Mr. Valdez took the time, the labor, the effort, and one of the new BVM, what do you call it, upgrade kits or modification kits, and turned this ducted fan airplane into a turbine-powered airplane, which is several hours of work, but what a great job they did. And of course, David Schulman, we all know, one of the absolute best jet pilots in the world, probably the best air show jet pilot in the world, certainly in the U.S. 4th place, was it? In team scale. Working their way up to 1st place, trying to knock their boss off. Now, it was 5th place in team, sorry. David Schulman's boss, David Valdez's boss, would be Bob Violet himself. They both worked at BVM. One as a mold maker, and David as the corporate pilot, test pilot. David Schulman, by the way, from a long line of Schulman model aviation enthusiasts. His grandfather, Leon Schulman, his father, Don Schulman, his brother, Jason Schulman. Model airplanes, they just love it. The grandfather, Leon Schulman, of course, was a B-26 bomber pilot, World War II. And this would be David Schulman's brother, Jason, of TOC fame, showing off for the crowd with one of Lanier's hot and huge aerobatic designs. Again, no gyros, by the way. This kid, another great person, Jason Schulman. Quiet, great-mannered young man. He can fly anything. Doesn't make a difference what he flies, but his forte seems to be these big aerobatic prop jobs. And once again, you listen to the crowd's appreciation of his efforts when he's done. And like Chip Hyde, Bubba Spivey, who puts together this halftime demo for us, we call it halftime, the noontime break, he handed Jason this airplane on Thursday afternoon and said, here, get used to it, because you're on stage Saturday at noon. And I think he put 5 flights on it to get familiar with it, and that's it. No gyros, and a brand new airplane for him. 5 flights, this is what he does with it. You'll notice that a different kind of different style, I should say, of flying from Chip Hyde. Chip is more of a rock and roll, bang, 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 put you in awe of what the airplane is doing. Jason, different kind of flyer, smoother, more open maneuvers, more gentle, just as hairy and just as scary, don't misunderstand me, but different. And that's what makes it so enjoyable to have both of them there. We're thinking next year of giving them both an airplane and putting on a little mini competition. 10 maneuvers. Chip goes first and does a maneuver. David follows him, does the same maneuver. Then it's David's turn to do one, and Chip follows him. And we'll score them and give one of these guys some kind of an award, because they certainly deserve it, just for showing up. And they do show up every year. Zap helps them with a little bit of travel money and a room, and Lanier helps with some travel money and some food, and I think probably somebody buys them a Coke or two. Chevron supplies us some gasoline. Now that is a tumbling maneuver that he recovers into, look at this, to knife edge flight. And that was to prove that it wasn't by accident, because he does it again and recovers every time to knife edge flight. So that wasn't like, oh, here it is, it's out of the maneuver, let me catch it in this mode. Inverted spin. Reversing it. Flat spin. Now how about that? Comes straight down like an elevator. This is eye, hand, and brain coordination at its utmost, I would say. I think his landing will be coming up in just a few seconds here. Look at this perfect hover. Stop right dead center. Again, Lanier makes some great airplanes, don't they? Look at this. Now, check out his landing coming up here. Look at this landing. I promise you it's going to land. I promise. Told you. From a vertical hover to a landing. Listen to the crowd.
Probably the hottest looking P-40 we've had at Top Gun in many a year. And this comes from, I want to say it correctly, Miguel Beristain?
That is correct, yes sir.
And you are from Texas, I believe.
I'm from Corpus Christi, Texas.
Corpus Christi, Texas. Where is that? The Panhandle?
No, it's down on the Gulf.
Okay,
down on the Gulf.
You have a little bit of an accent. You must be from some other country originally?
Yes. I was born here. I grew up in Puerto Rico, and I lived 6 years in Europe, in Spain.
Oh.
And that's why I have my Spanish accent.
I understand. Well, welcome to Top Gun. This is your first time.
Yes, sir. That is correct.
And we're going to talk about your airplane in a minute, but I always like to ask guys that come the first time their overall impression, but I do it in steps. For an example, you solicited for the invitation. The board looked at your credentials, and they obviously, based upon your Stinson, I believe.
That is correct.
Issued you the invitation. And then you had a problem with your pilot not being able to show up. You had to get another pilot in team scale. And you were building a new airplane, which this is it. Here's my first question. When you arrived and you walked through the tunnel and you came upon this field, if you remember, what was your first impression of that?
It was unbelievable. It's a feeling that you're in one of the greatest fields that you can be. This is like the Super Bowl. And the accommodations, the stadium, the polo field, so nicely cut and so nicely molded, everything green, and the runways and everything painted so neatly. It has to be an event that is top quality.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way. Now, let's take it one step further. Now you have your partner, your pilot, and you fly for the first time here. What was his impression of, is it as scary as he thought, or was he pretty comfortable?
No.
Come a little closer.
No. What happened is that initially we look at the videotapes because it was the first time, and we look at the field and the scoreboard and the flagpole and the houses, and they appear to be so close and so tight. And when we came here and we walked the field, there's nothing. It's a lot bigger than what it looks like on the videotapes, and there's no problems in regards to landing here.
Perfect. Let's tell us about the airplane. I believe it's a Zeroli design.
Yes, sir.
And you've done what you can to make it even more competitive.
Yes, sir.
What engine are you flying in this airplane?
It's a Quadra 75.
And you're flying a three-bladed Bali prop, is it?
Yes, three-bladed Meslick prop.
Okay. What size?
2210.
2210. The weight of the airplane?
36 pounds.
And I think it's 96 inches?
96 inches, yes, that is correct.
What is the, is this the original, this is not the ABG group airplane, is it?
No, this is from the 23rd Squadron, and this is a museum piece. This actually, at the present time, it is in New Mexico at the War Eagles Museum. And I was lucky enough to talk to the Skip Tremel. And he's
the pilot, yes.
Yes, the pilot, and he is the director of the museum. If you see, the airplane is very glossy.
Yes, I noticed that. That was my next question.
It doesn't have even no weathering because it's a museum piece.
It keeps clean.
Keeps
yes,
clean.
I
It's
understand.
clean as a whistle.
Your pilot's name is?
Harvey Swift.
Harvey Swift. I know that he turned a lot of heads here. I mean, I think he had like a 95 his first or second flight average.
That is correct.
So you're in there in team scale. You might be the team to beat this year. Wouldn't that be wonderful? The first time they show up, and there's a chance you could win team scale.
Oh, it will be great. It's unbelievable that the first time you come and you're able to score, and you're able to know that you're not at the bottom. You're in the game.
I will tell you, at Top Gun, out of 12 or 14 teams, whatever there is this year,
Even if you finished in 14th place, you did very well, just to come here.
I agree.
But to finish in the top 5 is miraculous, and to be in the top 3 is unbelievable, so good luck to you there.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to tell us about the airplane? Maybe what did you use for a finish? What kind of paint?
It's a chroma-based paint. It's automotive paint with a urethane finish. The airplane has some neat features. For example, the trim tabs are functional, and they're connected to a servo, and they work. And the rudder also as well. The trim tabs on the rudder. It has navigation lights, landing lights are retractable. They're synchronized with the flaps. And
are the exhaust stacks real?
Yes, the exhaust, I built them, and no, they don't act real. They're simulated. But
you made them look like real. So you've made them. You simulated the real exhaust.
Yes. Oh,
metal.
Yes, they're bronze, and the bronze. I mean copper tubing.
Yes.
Bronze tubing, and then I bend them and I make them to look like
very nice.
Like the airplane.
Very nice.
The kill switch, the gun sight is a kill switch, and if you look at the cigar of the pilot, it says Cuba on the side of the cigar.
That's something. Well, Miguel, we wish you all the luck in the world. You're doing very well. It's a beautiful airplane, and welcome to your first Top Gun, of which I hope will be many.
I hope so too. I hope that that we may get invited again, and if that happens, that we qualify to do that.
I can guarantee you we'll be invited again. That's without a question.
Thank you. Then we'll be coming back, but we're going to build something really competitive for the next time.
Good. Miguel Beristain, Corpus Christi, Texas.
Thank you.
Miguel's pilot, Harvey Swift, really did do a great job of flying this big P-40. And he did have a 95 flight score. Unfortunately, though, at the time of the interview, it was the only one that was 95. The others averaged around 89. So while that is still a remarkable achievement, don't get me wrong, the other ones managed to only a 9th place in team. At one point there, we all thought this was going to be the team to watch. We thought these guys had a shot to be the top 3. But it doesn't make a difference because, again, at Top Gun, they're all winners. I mean, there are no losers. What these guys got as a final score would have won any team scale contest anywhere in the country. They did well enough, more than well enough, to be reinvited next year. And we really look forward to seeing Miguel's team again, whether it's with this pilot or another, or this airplane or another, we don't know. But what an enjoyable pair these guys are to meet and talk with. Miguel, a very humble man. He's a surgeon by trade. I think he puts replacement knees in people. And a great-looking airplane. A little more practice. These guys are going to be something to contend with. Bob Benson has probably become one of the most improved pilots at Top Gun. His RT Aerospace T-34 was a great-looking and flying airplane, the same one that Ray Torres flew, meaning the same model. 80 inches also, 22 pounds, powered by a Moki 1.8, turning an APC 18.8. Using the typical Navy trainer color scheme, the red and white high-vis color scheme. He improved his standings this year. He finished in a very well-deserved 18th spot, putting him in the top 2/3 of the class, expert class. And I'm not sure if this was the 3rd time for this airplane or not. We'll have to find out. But and I'm also not sure if his overall average over the past few years warrants an invitation back or not. But I think it does. And from the looks of the way he's improved, I am sure that by next year he will be even better. So let's look for Bob Benson to come back and do better again. Good friend of Mike Barbie's. They hang out together. This airplane was not in competition, but it did fly during the event. I've only got a minute or so here to explain why, but let me do that. Top Gun allows you to fly in your regular spot for no score if you damage your contest airplane. So what does that mean in a nutshell? You bring your contest airplane and you either before or after static score, doesn't make a difference. You destroy it in practice somehow, or you damage enough that you can't fly it. We say to you this: if you've got a scale airplane in the car, drag it out, keep your flight spot in the flight order on the flight line, go and fly, give the judges your score sheets, they will judge the flight. It's great practice for getting used to the field, but the score doesn't count. But at least you know how you did. And that's what Rich Uravitch did with this Bronco. It's a prototype of his new kit. And he liked it. And we liked this. We didn't like it. We loved it. This is Juan Pablo Costello. We got a call from Joe Bishar from the AMA, and he said, Frank, I'm coming back from, not Puerto Rico, from Costa Rica. And there's a young man there that loves this hobby. He flies an airplane, and the poor guy, I shouldn't say poor guy, scratch that one, guys. The young man is handicapped. He has one arm. And he flies a stunt airplane incredibly with one arm. And I said, gee, I don't know if I want to showcase a fellow, you know, with one arm. I don't know if I want to make a spectacle of him. He said, no, he won't feel that way. So we emailed this young man and helped him with his travel plans to the U.S., and he came and put on a show for the people with this little Morris hobby, something or other, whatever it is. We turned him into a Zap Gang member. We gave him a sponsorship, and he is a delightful young man. Just a pleasure to be around, soft-spoken, and an excellent pilot. An excellent pilot. And he does all this flying with the one arm. I mean, his other arm is stops at the end of his elbow. And you watch how good he is and how safe he is, that his partner will actually go out there and snatch this airplane out of the air and tweak the needle valve. Look at this, and let it go again. This is power to weight ratio, guys. Watch this now. That's all. Let it go. Up it goes. So Juan Pablo will be back next year, we hope. We're staying in contact with him, and look forward to him next year. There he is. There it is. By the way, speaking of great guys, if you had a list of great guys, this guy would certainly be near the top of the list, if not on the top of the list. This is one of my favorite Top Gun competitors. I'm not ashamed to say that. Rich Feroldi, upstate Florida. He brought this absolutely magnificent World War I biplane to the designer class and literally wowed everybody, me included. And you know how much I don't like World War I airplanes, and I don't like Culver Cadets, but this airplane is a magnificent piece of work. Look at the detail and the workmanship. Please look at this. It's a DH2 Airco. That's de Havilland Aircraft. He received a very competitive static score, 94.33, putting him right in the middle of the static score range and designer. Then he uncorked a 93.6 flight in the first round, immediately putting him in second place after round one in the designer class. But, you wouldn't know this, a faulty ignition, again, the second one at Top Gun, a faulty ignition system knocked him out of the second and third round, and he slipped all the way to ninth place. All was not lost. He went on to win some other awards, but that was a shame because he could have really done it all. It's 113 inches, by the way, this airplane, 1/3 scale, powered by a Sachs 4.2. Glenn Torrance models, you know, Glenn Torrance, a great supporter of Top Gun, put up some cash as a trophy for the best pre-World War II aircraft, and Rich Feroldi won that. And then Mac Minarelli, a division of Hobbyco, donated a beautiful 100cc twin-cylinder gas engine. I mean, a magnificent engine, very expensive engine. And they awarded that for the best gas performance, and the judges, the voting judges, voted that Rich and the DH2 had the best gas performance. One flight is all it took for him to do that, and he won that award. So all in all, it was a great weekend, and it could have been better, but he went home pretty happy. Nice sounding airplane.
I'm David Chiu from Spiceland, Indiana. This is my first time at Top Gun. Glad to be here. This is a Zeroli design P-47, build-up wing and tail surface with a fiberglass fuse. We have a Zenoa G62 engine in front. It seems to be plenty. Got Robart gear, JR radio equipment throughout. It's finished with fiberglass cloth, zap finish and resin, automotive acrylic enamel paint. It seems to work really well for us. Not really sure what it weighs. We've not had time to weigh it. I know it balanced pretty well, and we've not weighed it since.
David Chiu is a perfect example of a person who wanted to fly at Top Gun and secured an invitation. Why I say perfect? Because he went through the little ritual we have of getting the invite. He had an airplane he had finished. It is not the most competitive airplane in the world, but he flies it well. He received a static score in the bottom 25% of the field. We're not knocking him. He knows that. He went out to put together some great flights, and he finished in 9th place in expert. So why he's a perfect example? You can do it too. Build a nice airplane, practice, practice, practice. Get yourself a slot at Top Gun. All you do is mail in or email the request, hey, I want to be a Top Gun. We ask you a few questions. The board votes. If you get the invitation, you show up. I mean, it's really, really easy. And this guy had a ball. I mean, we asked him right out, you know, what do you think? He said, well, when he first showed up, he was a little intimidated. The one thing he said, though, like everybody else, he thought from the previous videotapes that Top Gun field was very short and confined. He said he didn't realize how far in the distance the trees, the houses were. It looks like they're really close, but that's the camera angle. But look at that nice landing. In fact, that might be a touch and go, and it was. Just see that? Practice makes perfect. An average static score, put it together with good flights. Just think what this guy's going to do when he gets a more competitive airplane. And he might be able to take this one and make it more competitive rather than do a whole new one. We'll see. But he'll be back. He deserves it. David Chiu. Coming up, I got to tell you a couple of things. Hobbyco put up a complete beginner's RC outfit for the winner of the AMA Kids Delta Dart program. This is where a bunch of kids are under the midway building these little Delta Darts, compliments of AMA. Zap Glue gives them the glue. And then they all come out at halftime. They launch the airplanes, and the last airplane down is the winner. And they got a complete ARF, ready-to-fly system. I mean, airplane engine radio built, completely built from Hobbyco. And this does a lot to promote this hobby, I'm telling you. I mean, these kids loved it. They gave them something to shoot for. The local club got together and helped them. Oh, here we go. More halftime stuff. This would be Sergio Testa, one of the Tournament of Champion flyers from Argentina. Now listen to this one. This guy calls us up and says in his broken English, can I just come and fly? And I said, gee, Sergio, you know, it's a competition. And I said, we don't know. I was embarrassed. We don't know who you are. But do you build nice scale models? He said, no, I just want to fly my airplane at the demo. So after checking him out and finding out that he's rated like, you know, 3rd or 4th in the world, how can we say no? Maybe it was 5th or 6th in the world. I don't remember. But be it as it may, he does all of his maneuvers. This is his shtick at close range. In other words, almost everything he does is really close to him. He's an excellent pilot. Right up there with the other TOC flyers, obviously. To be invited to the Tournament of Champions, you got to be pretty good. So we were very impressed. Let's just watch him for a few minutes here. Again, a different style of flying. This guy incorporates some slow, smooth maneuvers with some abrupt, fast maneuvers. He does use gyros, however, I believe on rudder and elevator for some of the hovering maneuvers.
So you're approaching the knife edge configuration?
That would be an inverted slip almost, huh? To a knife edge? I don't know. I mean, he came downhill quite a bit. Lots of rudder input there. Now, when these guys are using gyros, keep this in mind. Their hand is constantly flicking the gyro on and off. You only want the gyro working in certain maneuvers, and you don't want it working, which would be fighting you in other maneuvers. These new gyros are not like the old ones, which were very simple in their operation. and you could override them. The new gyros, it's very difficult to override, so you literally turn them off before you try to override them. Now this is his hovering and low flight maneuvers. Now watch this. Watch that rudder, see that? That's the gyro keeping that airplane in that attitude. And then he controls everything else with ailerons and power. Now you would have thought, now you see that? That was a tumble. You would have thought the airplane would have fallen out of the sky, but that's the result of the power of the airplane to just overpower the weight and stop it from falling. And massive doses of the power, blasts of power over that huge elevator with something like 80 degrees of travel are what keep the airplane from hitting the ground and keep it in this attitude as well. Now this is something, of course, that real airplanes cannot do, and that's because of the power to weight ratio. They don't have it. Look at this, just dragging the tail wheel. Look at that, dragging the tail wheel. We kind of thought that having, you know, Chip Hyde and Jason Schulman here, and then having Ransom Fairchild with the big extra, that we had too many of these kinds of demos because they were all kind of different from each other. We interviewed the crowd later, sporadically, spontaneously, and they all said they were not bored with this. I mean, everyone thought that each pilot has his own style, and they enjoyed watching the 4 or 5 different pilots do this. But usually we only have 2 of these kind of demos. We had 4 or 5 of them this year. Sergio Testa. Drop the wheel, Panther. Nice guy. This would be Roy Vallencourt's fabulous prototype of his kit of the Hawker Typhoon. This is a hot-looking airplane, by the way. You don't often see a competitive Typhoon, short-nosed moment, you know. I think that possibly we had one years ago at Top Gun. This one here is immaculate. It's 1/5 scale, which comes out to be 97-inch wingspan, by the way. And it's lighter than it looks, only weighs 35 pounds. I mean, it looks like a 45-pound airplane, but 35 pounds. He uses a Quadra 75, turning a Zinger 2412 prop, which turned out to be, and I would have thought so anyway, too much pitch. They finally found some 2410s, and of course this airplane just jumped, came alive. Why? Well, remember we talked about this once before. More pitch on a prop is more flat-out level speed and less vertical performance. Takes the airplane longer to take off because it takes a while to build up. It's a lot of things like that. And when you decrease the pitch, you get more vertical performance, and you get a nicer takeoff run, a little bit slower landing speed, meaning the engine turning over less the airplane's going at less feet per minute ground speed at, let's say, the same RPM. And Roy switched over to the 2410, and the airplane just came alive. The airplane's very, very stable. He started off with a 94 static score. He finished in 7th place. That's the designer class, by the way. And as you'll see in the upcoming landing later, he had some mechanical difficulties, but had he not, he probably would have been in the top 5, maybe even the top 3. Here's one of them. He had a bulky landing gear that just put him out. Another first-timer. This would be the first-time entry of Steve, I hope I'm saying this right, Steve Gabrys, G-A-B-R-Y-S. Didn't practice at the Top Gun field, had flown the airplane many, many times. I've seen it fly at Superman and other jet events. Didn't take a shot at practicing at Top Gun with this airplane. That's why the bumpy takeoff. But anyway, it's a BVM MiG-15, a Ram 750 engine, of course the most popular turbine at Top Gun. Polish markings. Once he gets his landing and takeoffs down, watch out for this guy. Now, if you want some details, look slowly at this airplane. This was built by Wayne Seaward, the owner of Aerotech in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's an all-composite P-47 that he then covered with aluminum film or aluminum foil, sticky back thin aluminum sheets that he pieced together, and I mean, this is nuts. The result, of course, is outstanding. But what a job of doing this. He teamed once again with Jim Sandquist in team scale. The airplane is 80 inches, 32 pounds. It's a Bryson 4.2, same airplane that I flew, except these guys flew it better, and they got a better static. Probably because of the detail, the finish, the pilot, and the fact that they had more practice than I did. And Jim's a better pilot than I am, and Wayne's a better builder than I am. Other than that, I don't know why they beat me. Wayne walked over to Jimmy and said, here's your static score, 95.58, which was the second highest in the team. And he says to Jimmy, now go get him. I mean, what more can I do? I gave you a very competitive static score. Let's see what you can do. And boy, he went and got him. He clinched third place. Average flight, 93 points, only 1.5 points out of first place. So he did a great job. I mean, this airplane just looks great, doesn't it? And when the sun would shine, it would actually glint off that surface. And look at this nice straight takeoff, main wheel takeoff, nice and long. No abrupt jerking it off the ground. If you use flaps as an option at Top Gun, you must incorporate them during takeoff and landing and flyby, slow flyby, to get maximum points. And I don't know if Jim used them on takeoff or not, but that's something you might want to look out for if you watch the tape again. And there's full flap on the flyby, see? That's the slow flyby. There's the fast flyby. The judges look for the difference in speed and the stability, etc. But you must use flaps on those maneuvers to be able to get a full 10 points. Here's a military roll. And here comes his landing, I believe. A lot of flap on this airplane. Wide stance landing gear.
My name's Dan Malinsky. This is Randy Clausen. We're flying team scale at our first year here at Top Gun. What we chose for a model is the P-61 Black Widow. It's from Zeroli Plans. It's a built-up model out of plywood and balsa, and it's covered with fiberglass. The paint system on this is a PPG automotive paint system with a clear coat on top. Power for this aircraft are two Zenoa G45s, and they turn two master air screw 28 props. The radio on this is a JR-10X, and we use all 10 channels. The aircraft has 17 servos, so we're using 2 receivers in the aircraft for redundancy and for load sharing. Also on board the aircraft, we have Robart gear and Glennis wheels and brakes. And now I'd like to turn it over to Randy, and he can tell you a little bit about how this airplane flies. Randy?
How you doing? My name is Randy Clausen. I'm flying this for the first time at Top Gun. This is a fairly heavy bird the way it came out. This thing weighs like 52 pounds. Because of that, it can be a little sluggish when it's slow. However, peculiar to this airplane, for roll control, we have ailerons that are very small, as you can see, and you'll see some detail later. But they're coupled with some spoilers that come out that kill the lift on each wing panel when we ask it to. And it provides a very responsive roll control. A lot of people are confused about the large trailing edge surfaces, and these right here, they're all flaps. Because of that, it does hold the 52 pounds up fairly well when it is flying slow. However, you do have to stay on top of it, because once it gets slow, it gets very, very sluggish. Overall, it is a nice airplane to fly, and we're having a great time here at Top Gun. So regardless of how we do, we're enjoying ourselves.
What a great attitude these guys have. These two guys are amazing. They pulled off an 8th place finish for their very first Top Gun event, which ensures them a re-invite, by the way. And best of all, I'm sure that the long ride home back to Colorado was a lot more comforting knowing they had competed with the best and took home the Best Multi-Engine Performance Award awarded by Dave Fogarty's Plastic Engineering Company. Great job, guys. I'm very proud of you, and they turned out to be just two wonderful guys to talk to. Not high-strung, humble, pleased to be there. Learned a lot, they said, and I sure do hope they come back. And here's a case where these guys had flown at some other contest, one of the Masters qualifiers, and they're friends of Brian O'Meara's, and Brian O'Meara called up and said, you know, you got to give these guys a shot. I've seen their airplane, I've seen the guy fly, and that's all we need, you know. We invited them, they came, they did well, and they'll be back next year. By the way, this is not the Don Smith Black Widow. This is the Zeroli Black Widow, which I believe is a little bit larger airplane. Not many guys choose to do a figure eight at Top Gun. That's an optional maneuver, not a mandatory one. These guys did. I believe they use flaps as one of their mechanical options, retracts as one, and their twin engines is a flight option. So the potential to do better is there with this airplane. Possibly a little better static score, and not much more practice, a little more practice, and these guys are a real threat. Now, if we could just get somebody to be a threat to Terry Nitch in the expert class, it looks like Greg Hahn is about the only one lately that's come close to knocking him off. And I'm not wishing Terry any ill performance. Believe me, we know and love Terry Nitch very much. But he has won the class so many times, somebody has to get out there and practice a little more and give him a run for his money. Nice airplane, huh? Oh, little dip at the end. Cost them a couple of points. Okay, this is the beginning of the award celebration right at the field, right around 4 o'clock or so on Sunday afternoon. And Sam Wright and I are the presenters, and there we are giving Rich Feroldi his award for Best Gas Performance. And I don't know what all these awards are, but there's several awards for different folks. That's the best two-stroke performance and best four-stroke performance. Here's Terry Nitch getting the highest total flight score award. Bud Rohn with the best four-stroke performance from Sato. There's Art Johnson with a best two-stroke performance. Got himself a Moki. Here's Terry Nitch again for the total, total flight score award, or the best jet performance. He won 2 awards. There's Stan Alexander from NASA awarding Greg Hahn the NASA's Flight Achievement Award, which is the most realistic flight put on at the event. Coming up, we'll have Dave Platt awarding the mass launch trophies, which is the rubber band contest we have at Top Gun every year, in the mornings. And Hare Engineering supplies us with 3 kits, and these guys won a little kit for their endeavors. It's a lot of fun. Anybody can enter. Any contestant or pit crew can enter. Any helper can enter. Just a rubber band airplane, mass launch. Here we go. 5th place team scale. David Schulman, David Valdez with the P-80. That's David Valdez on the right. There's the P-80, BVM kit, turbine powered, Ram 750. 5th place. 4th place is Bob Violet, and that is not Jerry Caudle. Jerry's knee gave that on him, and Kent Nogi from JR took over the calling duties for BV with a BVM T-34. Next up, Wayne Seaver on the left, builder Jim Sandquist on the right from Futaba, the pilot, with the Aerotech P-47, 3rd place team scale. Beautiful airplane. Dean DiGiorgio, the taller of the 2 in the JR shirt, Bill Stevick, P-51 builder, 2nd place team scale. with the awesome 3W powered P-51. And here we go. Bill McCallie on the left, Ed Burton, the shorter of the two, on the right. On your right, we're speaking, of course, the winners of team scale with the beautiful 0/Hamp. There we go. Here we go again in the designer class. Bob Benjamin, all the way from Washington with the electric-powered Tailorcraft. The first time an electric-powered entry has done so well at Top Gun, followed by Tommy Polipink with the Falls D3A. Good job, Tommy. Kid loves to bask in the glory, doesn't he? Look at that. Wow. Yeah, another bug shot. Sure, Tom. There's the Falls. Good-looking airplane, actually, for 2 wings. Ray Torres, 3rd place in the designer class with the T-34 coming up next. There's Ray. Brought the whole family to Top Gun. Did well. There's Sammy Wright reaching out for Ray's hand. Ray wouldn't give it to him. Good flying airplane again. Ray overcame an unfortunately unproductive static score to take 3rd. Here's Nicky Zaroli Jr. with the Avenger, 2nd place in designer with a brand new airplane. And the winner in the designer class, Jeff Foley with the BF-109E. Great competitor, all-around great guy. Everybody loves him, quiet guy. And here we go, expert class. 5th place with his backup airplane, Ray Labonte with the Harvard Ray and Robbins Hobby Shop, also one of the sponsors of Top Gun. Mike Barbie, our old buddy, the concrete guy from Columbus, Ohio, with the big yellow Waco once again. Sam Wright exchanging some quips there with Mike. 4th place in expert that was. 4th place for the Waco. Tommy Wood, the young Learjet pilot from Miami, Florida, flew an F4, a BVM F4 with a Ram 1000 in it, into 3rd place in expert. 3rd place in expert. Here's Mr. Gas, Greg Hahn, 2nd place in expert with the SBD. Just, so close to knocking Terry out of there, but you got to go some to knock Terry Nitch out of anything, and this guy came close. And here he is, the expert winner for the 5th time, I believe, Terry Nitch with the BVM Rafael. Just a great performance. And then the surprise of all surprises, Jeff Foley wins Top Gun out of the designer division for the first time. This guy was, I've never seen anybody this happy. He is beside himself.
Mr. Top Gun, year 2000.
Hey, this has been one of the absolute greatest Top Guns we've ever had. We have a new winner. We've had the most attendance we've ever had at the Top Gun since we've started. There was a bazillion people here. We solved the pole problem. We had great judging. And thank you for watching Prop Wash Video's rendition of Top Gun 2000. And we'll see you next year on the field. Frank Tiano saying bye for now.
Well, Terry, Sheila, 5th time expert. Wow. And
awesome.
Got anything to say?
Tickled to death. Tickled. New airplane this year. Excellent product from Bob Violet Models. AMT engines did a great job. They worked perfectly all weekend. Zurich sunglasses, wore them every morning looking into that bright sun. I got to take care of those folks, you know. They take care of me. And it just all came together, and I never in my wildest dreams figured that we would do this well. First year with a new aircraft.
New airplane, yeah. First showing was at Toledo, right?
That's right. That's right. We had 3 flights on it before we came down here, put it in the car, and kind of toughed it out in practice. And
wow.
We got to know each other better all weekend, and the last flight is really what did it. And it took
an arrow.
It took 6, 7 flights to get it together, but that's what did it. So, yeah, 5th time in expert. My congratulations to Jeff Foley, who was Mr. Top Gun this year. He did a hell of a job, and I'm tickled to death for him, and he deserves it.
Well, Terry and Sheila, best of luck, and we'll see you next year.
We'll be back next year, and we'll be tough. You can
take care. Thank you. I'm here with the 2 gentlemen who won 1st place in team scale, Bill McCauley and Ed Burton. And guys, this is the 2nd year, isn't it?
Right. It's the 2nd year.
And
I'm lucky.
Yeah, oh, sure, it was skill. We know better.
Well, it's probably a lot more luck than skill when you come
I'm not going to argue with you on that, but how does it feel?
Well, it's just absolutely wonderful, you know. We feel king, king, king. Well, that was really should have been this 2. two kings.
Okay, very good.
But you got to remember, we're flying against some serious, tough
there was
competitors.
heavy competition this year.
Right, that's right. They could do it just as easy as we can. Just any given day, it'll change hands, and it does.
Well, it hasn't changed hands for 2 years now.
Well, that's true, but boy, they scared us to death.
They kept you on your toes. That's probably why you gave that kind of performance that you did.
Well, you got to bear down when you have to.
Ed, what do you think?
I think anybody could win with the competition that we have, and it's just a luck factor. You know, you get a good flight in, and the other guy is off a little bit, and that's what determines, I think, the winning.
Okay.
It just takes one maneuver. All you have to do is just goof one maneuver just a little bit, and the other guy will take you because he's standing right there that close.
Jeff Foley, how long have we been waiting to have this interview?
About 12 years.
12 years, and go back a few years. How have you come in here at Top Gun?
I finished in 3rd overall for several years there in the expert class, and here in the last 3 years, or 2 years actually, I won designer scale, but wasn't in the running for Mr. Top Gun. And finally this year, I won designer scale again, and finally somebody from designer scale won Mr. Top Gun. I'm overwhelmed.
How do you feel? And how's the family feel? Or have you talked to anybody yet?
I haven't told them yet, but I'm getting ready to get on the cell phone here shortly. So, I'm like I said, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to say.
Well, Jeff, congratulations, and I know how many years you've worked at it to get here. With Mr. Jeff Foley from Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina for Prop Wash Video, I'm Werner Kopp, and we'll see you next year.